Hello and welcome to the More to Life podcast. I am your host, Elle Mace, and today I'm absolutely buzzing because I am joined by the wonderful Alexandria Maria. Hello.
Hello, thank you for having me.
I'm so pleased to have you on. So, you are a business mentor and a manifestation coach, but I know that you could probably give me a much better description of yourself and who you are and what you do. So, just tell the listeners a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so my whole mission is to help women create a life of freedom. So, creating epic businesses and also just the power to say yes to decisions that really align with what they truly want to create in their lives. So, yeah, we do a bit of business mentoring. We host magical retreats around the world. We run epic live events, anything that supports women basically in living their best, most abundant life.
Oh gosh, it just sounds so juicy, doesn't it? I'm like in this now, trying and working on this life. But as you were talking then, I just remember being that person that was like stuck in the corporate world, and I would hear stuff like this and think, oh, can it be me? Is it going to be me one day? But the proof is
And
in
it
the
is you.
it is me, and it
It is you.
is you. Amazing. So whereabouts are you at the moment? Because you travel all over the place. Where are you living?
Yeah, so we're living in Austin at the moment. So I'm in Austin, which I always have to caveat is not Texas. It's technically in Texas, but it's totally different vibes to Texas. So we're in Austin, and we leave on Sunday to Tulum for a month. So we're still
Oh,
kind of all over the place a little bit, which is fun.
is that just for like a working holiday or?
Yeah, so I'm doing a business retreat and then there was a week off in between, and then we're hosting a manifestation retreat. But one of my really close friends is there at the same time, and she's actually hosting a retreat in between. So I'm now going to her retreat in between. So I'm hosting a retreat, going on a retreat, hosting a retreat, and hopefully having some fun in between as well, because I love hosting retreats. It's like the best.
Yeah, you've literally got 3 weeks of retreat. And then somewhere in all of that, Leo's gonna pop up and appear.
I'm not gonna have him in sessions with me, but
Right.
one of the houses that we're hosting at, he's gonna come to the house and kind of be there on because I'm breastfeeding at the moment. So
Yeah.
I kind of need him kind of close. But yeah, we just make it work. We've got a good flow now. We know how to do both.
Yeah. He's also at such a good age. He's like turning 7 months, isn't he? So it's a
Yeah.
they I found that stage a little bit easier than well.
Yeah, it just feels really fun. I remember a friend saying like every age they get to, you like, this is the best age, this is the best age. And I feel like right now he's like at the best age, but I'm sure that will just like continue. Like he's so interactive and playful and smiley, and he kind of actually plays with toys now. Like obviously when they're newborn, they just kind of lie there. They don't
Yeah.
really, and
Yeah.
I'd have these like black and white flashcards and I'd be like, I'm really not sure this is doing anything. Whereas now I feel like, he actually plays with things and he engages, and yeah, it's really sweet.
Yeah, it's lush, isn't it? Oh, and that I think you're actually perfect right now for you to be hosting 2 retreats because he's not walking. Then that walking thing, when you're like, it will, because I know when I ran my retreat, I had
Yeah.
my kids nearish by, but I was like, oh, the swimming pool and like, oh, I'm so stressed out. But yeah, it's quite good. Like we always want them to walk, but when they do, it just causes so much more added stress. But anyway,
Oh my God, no, I have the fear already. I'm like, our cupboards at home, like the bottom cupboards near the floor are like filled with vases, um, housing cleaning products. I'm like, we are a disaster right now. Like as soon as he's on the move, we've got to do a cleanup of this. So
yeah.
yeah, I don't doubt it's a whole different ball game.
Yeah, big time. So many things like I want to talk to you about, could talk to you about, but I guess we'll just see how we get on because you've got your own journey with mental health, which I really that's going to be my focus to talk to you about. But I also want to talk to you about the transition between you leaving like your corporate world and those big scary steps and the self-worth and creating your own business. And then of course there's lots of mamas who are listening, and that sort of transition between just running your business, doing as many hours as you want to or not, and then suddenly having to be like, oh, I'm tired or I have this other responsibility now. But let's
Yeah.
touch on your kind of journey of mental health. So take us back to the sort of start. Like, how were you as a child, a teenager? Obviously like a bit of a fast track version. And then when did
Yeah.
you really start to notice, okay, I'm struggling?
I think I was always like a sensitive child, you know how we know now not to like label our kids too sensitive and things like that. I think I definitely got called overly sensitive quite a few times when I was growing up. So definitely was a bit of a sensitive child. And then I first started struggling with anything that I would like explicitly name as mental health. I think I definitely started to feel it when I changed schools. I changed school for high school, and I'd gone to like a normal junior school, and suddenly I went to this private school, and I did not fit in at all. Like I was called Scally Alley. So like I feel like loads of people know it as chav, but it was basically a chav, and they all called me Scally Alley. So it was
Oh,
like I did not fit in. So I definitely think that was like the first like I think that was honestly the first time I was thrown out of childhood in that way, if that makes sense, of like, oh, like people can be quite mean, like this is like a whole other experience going from having all my friends and then moving into that. But I think the first time I kind of labeled it as mental health was when I was 17 and I started to experience panic attacks and went to the doctor, said I'm having these episodes where I literally just can't breathe. And that's when they first medicated me as well. So they gave me beta blockers. I think they're called propranolol. So I was put on beta blockers then for anxiety. Then went to uni, kind of was absolutely fine. I can't really remember having panic attacks at uni. I remember going out a lot.
yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, so I was having a wild old time at uni, an amazing time. And then as that started to draw to a close, I don't know whether it was the what comes next fear kind of starting to step in. And I had such an incredible friendship group at uni. We were all so close, and the kind of fear of walking away from that. But that was the first time I was officially diagnosed with depression. So I think it started quite young for me, really, 17 and 21. I'd say that's pretty young.
Yeah, especially I guess for medication as well, and sort of that, and you had that diagnosis of, this is depression. So
Yeah.
you don't, can you pinpoint at all why you started to have the panic attacks?
Honestly, I look back now and I think I was just overwhelmed.
Yeah,
I think I was I believed that in order to do well in life, you had to perform very well academically.
yeah,
Now, I stand by this. I performed very well academically when I was younger, but it was because I worked my little tush off. Like I was never that kid that could like doss around and then show up and just like crush it. I was the person doing the color coded notes for weeks and weeks in advance, and then I do well at something. So I
yeah,
honestly think I just put so much pressure on myself constantly to perform at this level that probably didn't match my kind of natural capability. And I
yeah,
think it just got too much. I think it got too much sometimes.
yeah. Were you a bit of a perfectionist?
Massively.
Mm.
Massively. I've got Capricorn Virgo rising as well, which doesn't help. So yeah, like the perfectionism was strong.
Yeah, and I think if you've got the, well, it doesn't matter at what point in life you have that perfectionism, but especially as like a teenager, like you will just, it's your coping mechanism, isn't it? And so you will just
Yeah.
keep going into you're striving for that perfection, which just doesn't exist.
Yeah, completely. And I'd like to think it's changed now. I don't know whether I've just changed and I'm more aware of it, but I think we're a bit more aware of kind of the mental impacts that we putting so much pressure on kids. I look back and I'm like, I was a kid, it's okay not to get an A. Like it's gonna be all right. And like I also look back and laugh because like I killed myself for my GCSE results. No one's ever asked me for them. No one cares what I got right. I sometimes wish people did ask me for them because
No, I'm really pleased that no one asked for GCSE results. It's doing me a massive favor. I'm one of those that didn't really do them, so I'm like, thank God they ended up being nothing. It's so
but this is the
true.
point, like it's wild, it just doesn't make a difference.
It, that pressure of being 15, 16 in your GCSEs is ridiculous for actually for the GCSEs. Okay, yes, you that can go on and choose your college program, etc. But in terms of adult life, it really doesn't matter. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm totally with you.
I'm actually dreading the kids starting proper school and bringing their homework home because I know it's going to be so hard. I'm going to be like, yeah,
That's what Google's for, babe. We've got Google and
Okay.
ChatGPT. We'll be fine.
ChatGPT, I can't wait. Okay, so there's kind of been this like this anxiety going through you. And then it's interesting that you didn't really have a university, especially with the pressure of university and having to complete all the dissertations and, you know, being out there on your own away from home. But obviously you had connection, which really helped you.
I had the most incredible friends. And to be honest, I picked my degree on what would be easier, and it worked. Like it was fine, you know. I coasted to a 2-1, and like I'll be honest, I really didn't work that hard at university, but I had a lot of fun, which is probably why I didn't feel the pressure.
Yeah, that's good though. That's needed. 18 to 21, you just need to have fun.
Oh my God, discovered so much about myself. I feel like I just want, when I'm hoping when Leo's that age, I'm just like, please just go traveling. Just like go see the world, do some stuff, have some friends, like, you know.
Yeah, I'm the same, but I'm also like, can I come and stalk you and follow you? Yes, Lola, go on the aeroplane. I'll sit at the back. You can sit at the front. It's fine.
It'll be like, do you remember that program, Sun, Sex and Suspicious Parents?
Yeah, literally, that is going to be me. I want
Oh
her
my
to have
God.
as much fun as I did, but I'm also just so aware of the situations I used to put myself in.
I know. Yeah, I can't think about that. That just gives me terror.
Yeah,
Terror.
definitely. But to be honest, by the time they're 20, they're gonna have like trackers on them, like, you know, they're gonna have everything,
Yeah.
aren't they? We'll know exactly what they're doing. Okay, so then after university that you got diagnosed with the depression, so what was the kind of turning point there? Again, was it overwhelming perfectionism as like, what now? I've got my degree, I need to do something with it.
I honestly think at this point it was lack of purpose.
Yeah,
Like my entire purpose was just friendships and connection and going out, you know, like that was my entire world. And all of a sudden it was like, I need to grow up. Like I need to get a job. I need to know what I want to do for a career. And again, I think there was a pressure piece of like, I need to pick my career for the next 40 years.
yeah,
Longer when you're 20, like what, 50 years, you
yeah,
know? And I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. Zero.
yeah. That is stressful. Did you have pressure like from family at home, like what you're doing, where you're going? Or not really?
Yes. I mean, my parents are amazing. And I think without giving too much of their story, because I think that's very much their story and not mine to share. I think they didn't have certain opportunities and they wanted to make sure that I had them. So
Yeah,
it was always from a very loving place of like, we want to give you the most opportunities that we can.
yeah,
Um, but I do think I was just a bit lost. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I didn't know where I wanted to go, what I want. Yeah, I was just a bit of a hot mess, to be honest.
yeah. So what did you do? What was the next step?
So next step was I still couldn't work out what I wanted to do. So go do a business masters. And this very much fed into this narrative of performing well academically gives you more opportunity in life was the actually limiting belief that I had at the time. So
Yeah,
I really wanted to go travel the world and just kind of like see everything. I wanted to get a job in Topshop and go travel the world. That was my plan. I was
yeah,
I was game for this. And the kind of compromise that we came to was go to Australia and do a business masters, work in between, and then at the end of that, hopefully I'll know what I wanted to do. So in between this, though, the term dates are slightly different. I actually ran off to a yoga ashram in Thailand for a month.
oh wow, I love that. I love the run off bit.
Well, I say run off. My parents knew I was going, my friends knew I was going, but it was like the most run. You got to remember, yoga was not cool at this time. Like it was not cool. My friends were like, "Are you gonna go grow your armpit hair and like stop wearing deodorant and like join a cult?" I was like, "No,
Yeah,
no, 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 no. It's a yoga ashram. It's different." So there was definitely like part of me that was very interested in this world, but kind of it was always one foot in, and then I'd go back to what I thought was safe.
yeah. Because actually, I mean, now it's not young at the age of, say, I don't know, where you were 21 to go off to an yoga ashram. Now it's all changed, but back
Yeah.
then that would have been that's a young age to have taken on like a bit of a spiritual journey.
I was the youngest person there at this
Yeah,
you know, I was by quite significant amount. I was the youngest person there.
Yeah.
So yeah, at the time, and again, I love this because I feel like we're so much more tapped in now. Like I have like affirmation cards for Leo already, you know, like I feel like we bring them into this so much earlier, but then it was wild. People genuinely thought, is she joining a cult?
Yeah, that is young. I mean, I remember being that age and just thinking yoga sounded so boring.
Yeah. Well,
But
I'd done it since I was 12. I mean, that's so random, but yeah, I'd done it for a while. Jerry Halliwell got me into it from the Spice Girls.
oh, did she?
Yeah, I was a die-hard Spice Girl fan, and whatever Jerry did, I was gonna do. So she
Oh,
actually got me into it first of all. But then yeah, so I had this random point where I ran to the yoga ashram.
and did that sort you out to a certain extent?
Honestly, no. I then went to Australia. Australia was probably the time I struggled. I feel like there's three big points in my life where I struggled with mental health, 3 or 4, and Australia was another one.
Mm.
Again, it was the other side of the world. I was away from all my friends, all my family. And again, it was actually quite intense. I was doing a business master's, you know, it's an intense program. And there was me thinking I'd get away with my couple of hours at uni and swanning around and going out the rest of the time. And it just wasn't the case. It was it was a bit of a shock to the system. So and then there was all the personal stuff as well. I'd fallen in love with a boy before I left, and you know, all these things that when you're 21 you think are so important. So I think it was just like a mix, a perfect storm of all these things coming together, that I actually found that experience quite hard.
Yeah. So when you say you found it hard, what was going on for you? What was your kind of like daily or weekly battles with like feeling so low?
Um, I think there was a lot of just general unhappiness, to be honest. I can't describe it anything other than that. I feel like I'd lost my spark. And it's really funny, if you look at photos of me from that time, you can physically see I don't have a spark in me.
Mm.
Like I'm just look kind of dead behind the eyes. I'm just very I can't describe it other than I lost my spark. I lost my light, I lost my spark. And I just struggled to find my happy. I really struggled to find my happy at that time. I then got into a relationship that was not a good relationship, was really toxic. And again, it was all these, you know, when you look back and you're like, babe, you could have helped yourself in so many ways, you know, ditch the guy, ditch this, you know, do, and it's so easy to see in hindsight, but at the time it was just very, very overwhelming.
Hindsight. The thing is, you
Mm.
just don't have the tools back then, do you? You really don't. You don't have the emotional resilience. Oh, and if we did, life would not end up the way it is now, and it would have been more boring because we would have taken sensible decisions.
And you know what? I've learned so much. And if nothing else, I've learned empathy and compassion, because I've then seen friends be in relationships like that and not be ready to leave. And I
Yeah,
know that you just have to love them until they are ready. And like it, you know, you learn so much through situations, as much as you look back and think, babe, what were you doing? But it is what it
yeah,
is.
you totally learn from it. So then
Mm.
after Australia, what happened then?
So get back to England and move to London. I'm I've decided, for lack of a better option, I'm going to become an insurance broker.
Yeah,
I still haven't had this aha moment I've been waiting for, of like, this is my purpose, this is my career.
yeah,
So instead, I look at what my friends are doing. My friends who are insurance brokers, they're getting well paid, they're getting on the lash all the time.
yeah,
Looks a bit of a laugh. I'm like, perfect, job done, go into insurance broking. So go into insurance. This was actually a pretty happy time in my life, to be honest. I was swanning around London, you know, having my lunches paid for, having my drinks paid for. As a young girl in her 20s, it was brilliant. And all my friends, I was really nice with all my friends again.
yeah,
Yeah, it was a finally ditched the boyfriend. It was like it was a good
yeah.
time in my life for a while, to be honest. It was a good fun.
Oh, it does. It sounds fun. You're someone that connection just keeps coming up. If you're feeling disconnected, you struggle, don't you? So it's really that is such an important part for you.
Yeah, it's so funny. I don't think I've actually pinpointed that until having this conversation, but it is all the times where I've and it's weird because as long as I'm in a situation where I can make friends, I'm okay. You know, in between all of this, I've gone traveling around Asia by myself multiple times. And in those situations, I found it very easy to lock into friendships very quickly. But you're right, it's the times where I felt disconnection. And I think that's why now as well, what I do, I'm so passionate about women finding connections and friendships through the programs I run or the retreats that I run, because it's a game changer. If you've got a couple of friends by your side, you can take on anything.
Oh, yeah, powerful. So powerful. So this is the transition bit here then, isn't it? You had a really good time being an insurance broker, but
Yeah.
then I'm sensing like there was this voice, you couldn't ignore it. What was going
Yeah.
on there?
So this is when the voice kicks in. So I'm sat in my cubicle at the office. I'm scrolling on Instagram and I'm just seeing people living in Bali and traveling around. And I really feel like this was the rise of the kind of like influencer entrepreneur time as well. So you're seeing a lot of people sort of talking about Tim Ferriss's 4 Hour Work Week, was kind of the hot read. All this awareness is starting to grow, and I'm seeing all these people doing these things, and I'm like, wow, it must be so nice for them. What a life they must be living. So on the one side, I've got this looking outwards, seeing other people doing this. And even my husband, he left his career and was in a startup. So I'm seeing him very immediately working his arse off, but also so fired up, so passionate, making things happen. And then on the flip side to that, the discomfort at the career I've chosen is growing and growing. I was put in a couple of situations that didn't feel completely comfortable. The awareness of, okay, I've got 40 years of this left, and the boredom, to be honest, that was, the lack of real spark or passion that I had behind that. I love the lunches. I love the socializing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was very good at my job, but I didn't like my job. It's very different. You can be very good at something. I think that's a key differentiation for people. You can be very good at something, doesn't mean you like it.
Yeah.
And I had to learn that, if I'd been good at something previously, I just did it. Whereas I was starting to turn on like, oh, just because I'm good at it doesn't mean I have to do it.
Yeah.
So I think these two things started to come together. And all of a sudden, this voice of like, there has got to be more to life than this is becoming raging in my mind.
I love it that you just said the title of my podcast. More to life. Do you know what? I'm so pleased I picked this name, because the amount of times people say it without even realizing it. And I'm like, thank you very much. There's more to life.
Do you know, when you said it, I love this title. There's a Stacey Orico. This is
There's
such a
gotta be
throwback.
more to life.
Chasing down every temporary high.
Yeah.
And that line has
Yeah.
stuck with me so much. I think the name's genius, but yeah, that line has stuck with me.
Yeah, I was going to put that on the back of all like the music for the podcast and my course, and I was like, oh, I'm not so sure about that. But it's so true. It's
So
so
true.
true. Whether it's you at that point where you were like, I feel depressed, there's more to life, or whether it's like doing this insurance broker job, look at everyone, well, not everyone else, but look what others are doing.
Yeah.
There's it comes up so many times.
Yeah, 100%. It is that voice. It's so accurate.
So you went and you did it. What did you do? Just quit your job?
Well, I'd love to say I did that. What actually happened was,
quit my job, made millions.
so easy. This was probably my pivotal moment in life. So I'd had these touches of mental health problems before, but this was the one that changed everything. So I have gone to Manchester. My parents live in Manchester. Gone to see them for the weekend. I don't know if it was the fresh air. I don't know if it was the green fields. I don't know what happened, or taking a break. But I get on the train back to London and I start to cry. And I'm not talking about like a subtle tear. I am like ugly crying, sobbing on the train, sobbing. And I'm aware I'm in a public place and this is slightly embarrassing. I can't stop. I can't stop. There's no stopping. It's like something has just burst within me, and these tears are flowing and flowing and flowing. So I got home that night. It's Sunday night. I'm like, okay, we can cry ourselves to sleep. We've had the Sunday scaries, but Monday, you get your shit together, Alex, and you get your ass into work. Monday morning comes. I am crying. I cannot stop crying. I'm like, oh my God, what's happening? What is happening? There is no part of me, and this is the first time in my life where the perfectionism, the trying to hold it together, it all fell apart at the seams. And I was like, there is no part of me that can go in that wardrobe, put on a suit and get into work right now. There is zero will left in me to do this. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to pull a sickie. Never done that before, but we're going to pull a sickie. But by Tuesday, we're going to go into work and we'll pretend this never happened.
Yeah.
Tuesday comes, I'm still crying. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go see the doctor. I didn't know what else to do. I was like, who do you call? No one tells you who to call when you just start
No,
crying and can't stop.
no,
So
no. It's the
call the
worst.
doctor. I go in. He's like, we're signing you off work. You are legally bound not to send an email, not to contact anyone. 2 weeks, you are not allowed to work. You've got to go home. And I am mortified, utterly mortified. I'm like, everyone's going to know. Everyone is going to know that I have had a mental breakdown. And we've now termed it. I've literally had a mental breakdown. So I go home and I'm embarrassed, broken, and I literally just go lie in a dark room for about a week because all my friends are at work. You know, it's not like they can just nip round. They're in their office keeping their shit together. And I'm just at a loss of what to do. So I go home, I have this week in bed, this dark night of the soul. And then the second week, it kicks in where it's like, okay, Alex, we can keep lying here or we can do something about this. And that was the moment where I knew I had to burn everything I created down to the ground. I needed to start again because I realized I did not like the life I created. I ticked all the boxes, but I was miserable. And this was the final straw. This was like, this is my turning point. And I remember at the time, everyone saying, oh, you're so brave. You're so brave. And I didn't feel brave. It was just the fear of continuing to do what I'd already done was so much scarier than the unknown.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
possibility of anything else was way less scary than the knowledge that I would spend the next 40 years feeling this way.
Yeah.
And that was my point where like everything changed.
Yeah. Amazing. That is so powerful. You have to get to rock bottom in order to have that realization and come back up.
Can't fall off the floor, you know? Once
Yeah.
you're on the floor, you've got to start. There's this phrase of it's actually from P.S. I Love You, the film, which I love. But
Oh,
anyway, there's this point she says you can't fall off the floor. If someone throws you a rope, you got to start climbing.
yeah.
And that was that I can't fall off the floor moment. And actually, the way that I'd amend that is that no one necessarily throws you a rope. Sometimes you got to find your own rope and like climb your own way out, you know?
Yeah. It's not all that bad. Well, it can be, it can feel bad, but if you are someone who's right now thinking, I am at rock bottom, like
Yeah.
actually, I know in my journey, I had to get to rock bottom. It sounds like you did too. Like,
Yeah.
see that as a positive light, like the only way is up now. And it will also mean a huge transformation.
That was one of the best moments of my life.
Yeah.
I look back on those other moments of mental health, like in a way, I wish I'd had that earlier. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't regret anything and it folded perfectly for me. But, you know, if anything, I'm like, that was such a turning point in my life. I'm so grateful for it. So
Yeah.
grateful.
Yeah. And you listened, you got in tune and you're like, there's something else here. So what
Yeah.
did you do? This is where you created your own kingdom.
Yeah. I mean, I say I had no savings. I had about £800 in savings.
Yeah.
So nothing significant. And I gave my 3 months notice at work
Yeah.
and was like, I'm leaving. And they were like, what are you going to go do? And I was like, I'm not sure, but I think I'm going to make jam. So the first thing I actually did
Yeah.
was literally like,
He has lost the plot.
do you know what was interesting? Actually, I say this, but my line manager at the time, she didn't always like me. She wasn't a great role model in terms of like female leadership.
Yeah.
But in all fairness to her, when I gave her my notice, she said, you know, I always had an inkling. You were either going to be incredible in this career and you were either going to be like, you know, top of the career, or you were going to leave and become like a yoga teacher or something.
Oh.
And I really feel like that was like the contrast that I was constantly trying to walk. And
Yeah.
then, but anyway, so yeah, I go and build a health food company to begin with. I'm doing my coaching qualification, and my yoga teacher training again in the background, so she wasn't completely off. But I built a health food company. So I start at my kitchen. We're then stocked in Delicious Ciela, Selfridges, Ocado, Holland and Barrett. Within a year and a half, we've like nailed it with this food business. it reaches the point where to go to the next level, and we've got like Sainsbury's in our DMs, you know, major supermarkets want to stock us. We need to do an investment round. And I've seen my husband go through that previously. I started to do all the pitch decks. We went on Dragon's Den, all these things. And as we're doing this, again, the voice is coming up where they're like, this was like the bridge, but this isn't the thing, because it was basically becoming a very corporate role again. You know, I was having investors that I was going to have to answer to. It became a lot more structured in that way that didn't actually suit me. And the voice started to chirp again. And this time I need to listen. And I've been doing my coaching qualification in the background. And I realized what I really want to do is support other women to take these leaps, to take these steps, to know that there's more to life, that more is possible, that you can go and do this. And that time I listened a lot more quick. I was like, okay, I'm going to go do the coaching thing. I want to start doing manifestation coaching. I've been really diving into that already, transformational life coaching. And that's when my coaching business started. And that's when things really, really just felt like, oh, I found the thing.
Well, I'll do a quote for you. It felt like a soul yes.
Yes. It felt like a soul yes. I love that. Yeah, that was the moment.
That's yours, isn't it? Yeah. Totally. And you felt in alignment, you felt like you were living your purpose, you had fulfillment. And that was like, it's all like the pieces of a puzzle, isn't it? You know, you did your health food company, you've put a few pieces together, and then as soon as you managed to figure out those last bits, you're like, aha.
Yeah. And I'd love to tie this all in a neat bow for people when I tell my story. I sometimes think like, oh, you know, it goes here, it goes there, it goes here. But honestly, I think that's more realistic. It's so rare that you just like have this neat line journey. Like I've seen a diagram of it before, and they're like, what you think A to B is going to look like, and it's a straight line, what it tends to look like. And it's like all these manic squiggles all over the shop, you know? So if someone's listening right now and they're like, oh my God, like I'm on my 5th career change, or, you know, I feel like I need to change again, or I'm still feeling like there's more to life. Listen to that. Like, it's okay for it not to be a straight line. It's okay to go like round the houses, but you'll get there eventually.
Yeah. And actually, you've given a really short version of your life. But if someone was to actually play out your life, there would be loads more squiggles and loads more.
Oh, yeah.
I'm do this. I'm good. Yeah. Like you've just touched on a few parts of it.
Yeah. At this point, I'm 27, you know, I've been like around the houses a little bit. And in many cases, that's quite young. You know, there's people who do this at 40, 50, 60. So it's never too late to change your life.
Never too late. Absolutely. And so, you know, I've worked with you and you've been my coach, and it's been absolutely amazing. So right now, what would you say is, well, I guess you've kind of just given a little bit of a tip for people, but that for those people that sat there, whether they think that they're not capable of it, was more of a mental health side of it, like that low self-worth, or whether more practical, financial, family, whatever, what's kind of like your top tips?
I mean, there's so much to touch on here, and I think it's so unique. I think if you are genuinely in a place where you're really struggling with your mental health, the first thing to do is really just start to do the small things for yourself and let those compound. So, you know, I know it sounds ridiculous, but go for a walk every day that's 5 minutes. I remember there was times in my journey where going for a walk was like so overwhelming. Like the thought of getting out the house and going for a walk, but just go for 5 minutes. Start to go for a 5-minute walk every day if you really are in the depths of struggling with your mental health, and then start to compound that. Okay, do a 5-minute walk every day. Maybe that turns into a 20-minute walk, and then start to read 5 minutes of a book every day. Read something in personal development. I honestly believe if you listen to personal development podcasts and like this, and read personal development books, if you do that consistently every day, your life is going to change. Okay, so just, it doesn't have to be big. Just start with 5 minutes, start with 2 minutes, start with a page, but just start diving into something that helps you grow, expand, get in touch with yourself, so that you can start to become aware of the possibility. It all has to start with hope. So start to tap back into hope and possibility and realize there is more available to you. There is a different life available to you. If you're not in the kind of depths of a struggle with mental health, I think the biggest thing to do is create the vision and start to move towards it. I'm a massive believer in the deep work, and I do a lot of deep work. I've done trauma release. I've gone and drank ayahuasca. Like, I am a big believer in doing that deep work. And I think we can get stuck in the weeds of it sometimes. And the most powerful way of building confidence is through action.
Yeah.
So where we don't have confidence, we have courage. You always have courage available to you, even when confidence isn't. So take the courage, have the vision, and start to take steps towards the vision. Take big, bold, scary steps every single day.
Yeah.
And that is how you will look back in a year's time and be like, oh my God, I did it. I actually did it. I did it. And wow. And it'll feel scary at the time. That's okay. But take the bold steps.
Yeah, it's so true. And also, time goes so fast. Like, if I think back to when I started and I was like, oh, this is where I just want to be, it's suddenly like, okay, yeah, it might be 3 years on, doesn't feel like it. And I'm like, hold on a minute, I've got to where I wanted to be. Like, well, it's always going to be a what next, but it really is like so doable. And it's everything that you've just said it is.
100%. I just want to go back to that question, Ricky, because you did mention a finances piece there, and I think it's really important to talk about this. Like, I think a lot of people try and sweep over this with just like, embrace your money mindset. And like, yeah, that's 100% a piece of it. Like, you want to be doing the money mindset work, you want to be doing the abundance work, 100,000,000%. And, it works differently for different people, and your circumstances are going to be completely different. I'm not going to tell a mum with 4 kids that she just needs to work on her abundance mindset and take the leap and quit her job. No, like, you need to work out, given your unique situation, what's going to work for you. But I would say the main thing is, like, just be prepared to work your ass off for a year, if not 2. Like, and honestly, I think a lot of people look to the lifestyle they want to have, but they're too unwilling to do the work in the interim. I worked multiple jobs when I set up my businesses. I would work over 12-hour days at times. It was hard freaking work. I remember I got asked to make 1,000 mini jars of jam at one point for a membership box, and I didn't have a manufacturer that could do it at this point. So I stayed awake for 4 days and had minimal sleep. And I'm not advocating this for long term. It's not good for you. It's not good for your health. But for 4 days, I stayed up and I made 1,000 mini jars of jam by hand in my kitchen. You can't keep at it at that pace forever. I'm not advocating hustle. I don't think it's good. I think it can lead to burnout, health problems, mental health problems. I really think we have to be mindful. And I do think there are going to be periods in your business where you just have to work a little bit harder to make it work.
Absolutely.
And that's okay, because the payoff will be tenfold down the line.
Yeah. And I think that goes for whether you're just starting or you're 3 years in like me, or you're probably around 5-6 years in. Like, I think we were together in London, weren't we, the other day? And there was a couple of things, like, it doesn't, and there was a lot of experience in the room, and, people who are super, super, super successful, but there was still this acknowledgement of everyone will still have their ups and downs and their struggles, and everyone will still have things that they're working through. So, it's not that like you're at your end goal. Yes, you've created your freedom and all the rest of it in so many ways, but your journey on yourself is still very much there, as is mine. And and it will be for everyone.
100%. Everyone talks about the law of attraction, but there's all these other universal laws that come into manifestation. And one that I love that really helped me in the past year of my life was the law of rhythms. And the law of rhythms is that we are all, we have seasons. So just as there is a winter and there's an autumn and there's a spring and a summer, you will go through your own seasons, as will your business. So there'll be times when you're in your summer of business and everyone's like, I want to work with you. How do I work with you? The clients are rolling in, the accolades are rolling in, the client results are rolling in, the money's rolling in. You're like, it's all happening. And then you will go through winters where you're throwing things out there and nothing is landing. And you're like, okay, nothing's an exaggeration. It probably is, but in the place you'll get in your head, you'll be like, nothing's working. And it's a winter season, and that's okay. It's how we approach these seasons that make the difference. But it's just if anyone's listening to this and thinking like, no, blah blah blah, look up like what do they call it, the top 100 companies.
FTSE.
The FTSE. So look up the FTSE 100 over the last 100 years and look at a graph, and you
Yeah.
will see the top 100 companies in the world have ups and downs.
Well, that's a really good point, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we sit there as small business owners giving ourselves a hard time because we've had a bad month.
Yeah.
Jesus, like just go and
Yeah.
look at the graph. It's wild.
Yeah, definitely. And going back to what you just said about, be prepared to work hard. Another thing
Mm,
you said in London was, pray, so kind of manifest, but
mm.
move 4 feet, do the
Yes.
work. Like that, I've definitely learned that. It's we can get caught up on Instagram as to manifest and visualize and all the rest of it, but you've still got to send those emails. You've still got to like step outside your comfort zone.
That is a quote in itself right there. Like, you
Yeah.
can manifest, but you still got that is so accurate. And, even when I was starting my manifestation business, I was doing all the manifestation work and it was incredibly powerful. And I was sending about 50 emails a day, outward emails. And I've just been at a Brendan Burchard event in Austin. And Brendan Burchard, oh my God, I think he's 17 years in the industry. This was his 104-day live event. Multi millions, works with the top people in the coaching industry. Incredible, incredible, incredible guy. And so much of what he was sharing was like, you got to do the work as well, like,
Yeah.
yes, he's very much mindset focused, but he was talking about if he was starting a business right now, he was saying he would run a live event on Zoom every Friday,
Yeah, for free.
and people are running a live workshop once every 3 months and then complaining they don't have any clients.
Yeah. Yeah. No one's signing up to my program. Have you told everyone every day about your program?
Yeah.
We don't want to do that.
Have you contacted 50 places in your local area about coming in and running a workshop?
Yeah.
That's the other thing. Everyone talks about Instagram. They forget about getting in the room.
Yeah.
Go to your local area, start local. Like, there's so much possibility available, but we have to move towards it.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh. I could go on and on and on with you.
So could I. I'm about to go send 50 emails after this. I'm like, right, let's get
Me
at
too.
it.
I have not done my 50 emails today. Right.
But how we spoke about compounding actions as well. Like, just again, like if it's feeling overwhelming in the early days, give yourself a list of 3 things that you do every day that will move the needle. If you send, let's cut it down, 10 emails a day,
Yeah.
every day for the next 365 days, you're telling me that you wouldn't make progress in your business.
Oh,
Of course you would.
100%.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And if you get 10 no's, you may get 1 yes, who then leads you on to someone else and word of mouth. And oh yeah. Oh, it's a journey. The business journey is a journey and an amazing one.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. So where can everyone find you?
So I'm over on Instagram at I am Alexandria Maria. And I'm also over at the Soul Yes podcast. We're about to go through a whole transition with that, which I'm going to be announcing super soon. But if you head over to there for now, you'll find us there until we announce our new home.
Oh, exciting. Oh, well, thank you so much. Good luck in Mexico. I'll be watching your
Thank
journey on
you.
Instagram.
Thank you, Angel. And thank you for having me. I love you so much. So it's such a joy to get
Oh,
this time with you.
thank you so much. I'll speak to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.